Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this latest narration of the web series The Nature of Predators Book 2. If you're new to the series, there is a playlist listed down below in the description, and as always, I hope that you enjoy. Chapter 16. Memory transcription subject, Taylor Trench, human colonist. Date standardized human time, March 20th, 2160. People that lived back on Earth used to travel in commercial airliners, flying across the skies as if it were a regular occurrence. Hundreds of passengers flying to and fro across the globe. Entire complexes that made up airports, welcoming visitors to cities of millions. For me, I thought the only way that I'd ever lift off again was if we left Tellus, or if I joined the ragtag militia. It was strange to feel the thunderous engines uprooting us from the ground, nerve-wracking even. I gripped my harness with apprehension, while Charisse kept a keen eye on Gress. Juvra had been strapped to Kreb's chest to prevent the oboe from sliding around during takeoff. As we cleared the atmosphere, I took a look at the sandy landmass of the planet below. It was a barren image compared to the luscious span of Earth. To think that spheres were so gigantic, yet we'd only settled a tiny patch of its dirt. I couldn't imagine humanity ever growing enough to conquer its circumference like that again, given that it had taken 12,000 years to reach our old population numbers. Our recovery wasn't something that would happen in any of our lifetimes. I laughed bitterly to myself, thinking about the young, able-bodied victims of the mining incident. There was always something ensuring that we couldn't grow our numbers in peace.
"What's so funny?"
Gress asked as he waited for the warp drive to complete its startup sequence. I pursed my lips. "Everything we have is nothing. Nothing in the grand scheme of things. I got this job by being good at kissing folks' asses. It felt good when I let myself go. This trip on Aval, it's going to be the last fucking time I suck up to anyone. I'm done pretending, done talking. I want to take some tangible action, Gress."
"Well, we always use more bodies in the military, in case our favorite group of aliens comes knocking. If it weren't for my daughter, I might have joined up myself. I've never been much of a fighter, but there are other things I could do. Maybe it's worth it to put on the reserve. I don't want to be idle. Should anyone threaten Nekka's safety? Your story shows how dangerous the Federation is."
"That's true. Those no-good ass clowns were more of a threat to us than we ever were to them. Played judge, jury, and executioner."
Charisse tilted her head, brow furrowed in thought. "Say, how the fuck did you think that we were with the Federation when we didn't torch the wildlife?" "You hid yourselves underground. How did we know you weren't cleansing the caverns down there?"
Gress protested, as the ship slipped into subspace. The Krev then unclipped Juvra, who clapped his globby mitts together with delight.
"Humans made a point of obscuring every detail of your lives. For all we knew, you were amassing weapons on our doorstep. The Riskets wanted to barge in and find out what you were up to by force, or capture one of you."
"Why didn't you? Taylor and I would have been easy targets when we went up to meet you."
"Again, we didn't want to open hostilities with the Federation. The Krev hoped that you would move on."
"And why did they believe that you could bring that about?" I asked. "You said they chose you for a position because they trusted you to put an end to the saga. It wasn't for the first time driving people from their homes."
"Taylor, I was a hostage negotiator with the police force in Aval's capital. I was involved in an infamous situation with some high-profile individuals and angry, relocated jazzlips. I prefer not to talk about it any further."
"Fine. We're just trying to get to know you."
"Any other subject, please. This one awful incident took my marriage, my sanity. And it's the reason I see my kid once every other week. It's a sore spot."
Charisse unclipped her harness, popping her joints.
"I'm sorry, Gress. Of course, we respect your desire to avoid the subject. Maybe we should talk about the other Krev Consortium species."
"Yeah, those Riskets sound interesting. I'm fixing to hear what they're about," I offered. "We don't even know what they look like, or any pitfalls that we can encounter when we see them on Aval." Gress moved Juvra to his shoulder, tickling the oboe's chin.
"Sure thing. I can hear my precious darling's tummy rumbling. Either of you hungry? We can go to the dining area and get some food."
"That depends on if you're going to serve up dried insects. I'd rather eat rubber."
"I have other things. There's these crab fruits called nosk berries. They look like little tubes, very sweet. Jovra loves them. He can fit them over his pinky finger and suck on them. It's like a candy to him. Crap, you had me sold a candy, Charisse chuckled. It's been way too long. I still remember Halloween, trick-or-treating for candy, door to door, until our baskets were full to the brim, given out by total strangers. A day of such wholesome innocence. I smirked to myself.
You left out the part where we dress up in spooky costumes. I remember dressing up as a dinosaur.
I'm certainly glad that sweet berries are up to your alley, and bringing up fond memories, Grace interjected. I'm sure Creb would be very happy to pass out sugary things to human kids if they wanted to go door to door in Avon, any time of the year. Please, come with me. I'll go over our 4 consortium species during the prep time.
Charisse and I trailed after the green-scaled mammal, who seemed delighted to be feeding us. A far cry from how the Federation would have felt had the mere thought we'd ever have to eat. I'd wager that Gress would happily spoon-feed us if we asked, given how apparent his enjoyment of pampering Juvra was. It was strange to be doted on with such intensity, though I imagined it was how the Vendel felt about our affection towards fluffy things. My mind was still a bit stuck on what the Krev had commented about his old profession as a hostage negotiator. If this was a famous incident, I might be able to pry the details out of others on Avor without forcing him to relive it. However, given that he was something of a friend, I was uncertain if that was a breach of privacy. The fact that Krev would think to send a hostage negotiator to collect supplies from us is telling. It's like they saw their very space as hostage, which needed to be pried free. It also tips that their species is capable of unprey-like, premeditated violence.
So, when to start? The fundamental premise of the consortium is that each species contributes something to our preparations for the day when the Federation comes around, Gress remarked as he began rummaging through the cabinets. We turn the whole world into, hopefully, impenetrable fortresses, growing an army as quickly as possible to meet a massive force. Signal dampening cages. We don't have such measures in surrounding systems to minimize the risk of detection. If you join the consortium, we'll want to upgrade Telus' security.
Charisse raised her eyebrows. We'll take all the help we can get warding off the Federation, or more preferably boatloads of assistance hiding ourselves.
Of course. We know that if they see what we're hiding, humans, a species they believe wiped out, it'll make the consortium their #1 enemy. It's in our best interest that you stay off the radar, especially if they find out about your escape and come looking. It's our mission to protect innocent races like you, so fret not. We won't forsake you in your time of need. Like I've said before, any human refugees that want to join us or start an enclave on Avon, you have sanctuary.
I appreciate that, Grace, but as you well know, we're concerned with maintaining our culture, rebuilding our numbers, I said. Splitting up a colony with how close we are to the minimum viable population is not a good idea.
We might be able to help with that. I know it's not a decision you can make alone. But we have ectogenesis chambers, artificial wombs. Perhaps if you're comfortable with it, Krev could raise some human children and teach them your culture. It would shorten the duration needed to expand your numbers.
I hope you're not planning to raise them like obas.
Of course not. You're sapient. I understand your concerns, given our tendency to infantilize you. But we would love and nurture you. We can send them to Telus once they are grown up enough. I know for certain that once we get the defenses built up and mask signals, we'll help build you a proper city above ground. Any amenity you want or need, just ask.
Charisse tilted her head and thought. We could use better medical facilities, perhaps a gym too. The training center below the sands, it's a bit sparse. I'd like some sort of concert hall or auditorium, bringing back live music, proper arts, and entertainment. I know people might not think it's a priority, but I hope it'll help us feel human again, I said. We've lost our soul.
Gresh dropped the last berries into a bowl, setting them down at the table. Food aplenty, eat up. I'll make a note of those things you both said, though you can submit a full list to the consortium. Our automated construction should make it easy to build up your city, eventually. Multiple cities.
That sounds wonderful. We're both touched by the prospect. The 4 of us found seats at a small table. each with a hearty portion at our disposal. The crab watched with eager eyes as I grabbed the noskberry between my fingers. This would be my first time sampling alien food. While we'd preserved as much plant life as we could from Earth, there couldn't be any harm in adding some of Abal's finest offerings. I rolled the fruit around my tongue, musing how it had the texture of a tiny pasta tube. It tasted like a peculiar mix of plums and bananas, smooth and thirst-quenching. Cherise grinned in appreciation as she tried the delicacy. Jura stared right at her, but seemed to take no offense at her upcurved lips. I scoffed in indignation. That lousy Ober is okay with her smiling. Why didn't he lunge at Cherise's skull? He has it out for me, I'm telling you.
Cry more. Gress doesn't whine half as much. After getting clogged in his noggin by you, the security guard countered.
Oh, well, that was unfortunate. How's your head holding up, Gress?
I'm fine. My scales are quite tough.
The crab's tongue darted out, impossibly long, whisking up berries. I gave him a surprised stare.
Let's get started on the consortium species. Before I find myself drafting up a 100-part plan to save your species. You wanted to talk about the Reskets, Taylor?
Any place to start is good with me.
All right, then. As I stated, each consortium species takes on a speciality for the group's protection to prove their strategic value. The Reskets are the foot soldiers, as our most intimidating race. The hologram Gress displayed on this portable projector was a pink-skinned, magenta-feathered bird with a lanky neck. It had long, dry legs as well. This was the most fearsome race in the consortium. The Reskets are the final defense. If there ever was an EMP or a cyber weapon that neutralized our automated forces, they also specialize in domestic security. Putting down any revolt, they train other soldiers to join our ranks, since they are too big for close-quarters combat, at least on non-crab ships, which aren't built to fit their size. Cherie squinted. Hang on. How big are they exactly? 6 techs tall.
9 feet, the translator decided.
Don't let their size fool you into thinking they're slow or clumsy. They can run up to
35 miles per hour
and cover twice your height in a single stride. If you piss a Resket off, you're best off not running. Pray to whatever deities humans follow that they shall show you mercy.
I recoiled in surprise. I take it they're not the species to play ding-dong ditch with.
To play what?
It's where you ring someone's doorbell and then you run off to hide, so that they don't see anyone there.
Why?
I don't know. It's funny to make them look, I guess. Gress pondered it for several seconds.
Ober Enterprise. It's a phrase we have which speaks to the primate's penchant for silliness and mischief. I suspect this falls under that range shield.
Yeah, we're a little shit sometimes. Funny enough, we have a similar saying, monkey business, also meaning goofy hijinks.
I see a primate's tendency to get into trouble transcends worlds. Imagine the trouble sapient ones can cause. Case study.
Taylor, Cherie snickered. I grabbed a berry from my bowl, chucking at her face in faux outrage. Gress seemed surprised at my accuracy, as the throw connected with the tip of her nose. Witnessing the playful bout, Juvra shrieked and grabbed a fistful of berries from his bowl. The Ober flung them at me. Of course, he targeted me, not Benson, without hesitation, splattering fruit juices all over me. The non-sapient primate received a withering look from me, after he immediately hid behind the crab's back, using his owner as a shield. I leapt from my chair, trying to find a better angle to pelt Juvre. Cherise was no longer my primary target. That monkey was going to get it.
Please stop. I'm impressed with your precision, but stop. You're going to make a mess,
Gress pleaded.
I don't want to be in the line of fire. Juvre's an animal. He was just mimicking your behavior.
I pointed at the suddenly bashful Ober. He went for me. You're letting him hide behind you, so you're putting yourself in the way.
Taylor has the maturity of an Ober, so he'd be happy to get into a shit-flinging fight with an animal, Cherie snickered. Sit down, Trench. Make us look slightly respectable.
Yes, mother. Juvre won't get away with this, though. I mean, this red shit's all over me now. I probably look worse than I did during the fecking mining accident. Go on about the consortium species, Gress, before I change my mind.
Right then. I guess we're pretending that didn't happen.
Crab blinked several times before pulling up an image of an oversized pink worm with stubby arms.
These are the Smigless. I'll move on with them, since there's not much to explain about their contributions. They're dead weight. Their homeworld has little strategic value to us due to its location and their general apathy.
Why would they be apathetic about the Federation? I thought the whole point of your organization is to stay away from them, Charisse murmured.
It's simple. They're the furthest away, so they think they'd be the last ones attacked, and have ample forewarning. Whereas Esquire was 1 day from Sivkit territory, and Avar is more comfortable 7 days away. The Smiggly planet is 13 days' travel from Federation space, almost double the distance. Therefore, they lack motivation. They claim their entertainment provides us moral boost, but we all know they're not doing their part.
I slumped back my chair, finishing off the berries. Dead weight is a pretty harsh descriptor.
Make your own judgment. Just don't bet on them to have your back in a fight. Oh, and something you should know. They're hermaphroditic, so don't go addressing their representative with gendered terminology. They'll all have, both parts.
Gotcha. That's good to know. We've never encountered a sapient species like that. So we got the Jaslips, the Reskets, and the Smigglers. Who is the final duo?
I'll save the best for last, and start with the Orchids.
Gress's hologram depicted a strange creature with sleek brownish-grey skin, a tapered snout, and a fin on top of its body. Its flippers appeared to double as hands or forepaws, while its tail acted as a single leg.
The Orchids are tripedal. As I can see you've noticed, their hind leg is powerful enough to stand on by itself for certain activities. They do much of their legwork, pun intended, on comms and logistics. It is important to be able to talk interstellar and supply your forces and civilians during any crisis.
3 legs, that's a new one, Charisse commented. I nodded, steepling my fingers. I'd like to see how they move about in action, but I suppose we should finish off the list. What did you mean by the last ones being the best?
The Trumbull. Their shells are bioluminescent, and perhaps that's why they're so comfortable around electronics.
Gress displayed an image of a reptilian biped, with a massive glowing shell on its back.
They specialize in anything tech, drones, or AI. Their newfangled weapons and automated fleet might give us a chance. The Tinkerers, the champion engineers.
I see. Stacking up your fleets definitely sounds important, though most of the species seem to have found a niche. Hopefully, I can keep track of who does what. I still haven't figured out what you do, though.
The Krev. First off, we coordinate, we lead, and make decisions for everyone's safety. Our responsibility is hiding each species from the Federation and masking the signals. I'd say we've done quite well.
Charisse leveled a stare at him. What about the Jaslip refugees? Do they have any role? It might give us an idea about what's expected of humanity as refugees ourselves.
In fact, the Jaslip do wonderful work with the preparatory side, and the fact that they have communities on each world's poles makes it perfect for them. Their role is building defenses and bunkers, as well as planned evacuation routes, should it ever be necessary. I don't know what role humans carve out, but I'm sure you have much to add. You know more about our enemy with more up-to-date information that could lend itself to intelligence work and strategic insight, if nothing else.
I rolled my eyes. My first strategy suggestion is to broadcast our smiling faces to the Feddies, and then eat meat aggressively. They'll all faint, neutralizing the fleet.
I recognize that you are joking, but you and the Jaslips could be used for psychological warfare against them. The Federation's manned ship lacks resilient crews. You'll find that our species are nothing like that. I hope what little I've told you prepares you for Avar.
It does. Definitely some tidbits to spark my curiosity. Thanks for all the help and the hospitality, Gress.
Don't mention it. You'll have a lot to take in once we get there, so don't be shy with any questions. Now, I'm going to take Juvra to his crate, before you get any bright ideas for revenge. I like my ship tidy, and I don't want him picking up any more naughty habits from you.
With my mind still aching from trying to retain the precious details of 6 novel species, I kept my snide remarks about the Ober to myself. I couldn't resist pointing to Juvra, then to the emergency airlock, as the pet stared at me over Gress's shoulder. It would be a shame if someone spaced their primate. For science. Not that I would actually do that. Nonetheless, Charisse shook her head at me, before toting her dishes over to the sink. It seemed that help was forthcoming if I could keep up appearances. So I supposed I should knock off any Ober enterprise before we got to Avar. There were more important things to concern myself with, such as placating the other species and figuring out what humanity's place in the consortium would be. Maybe one day, with the Krev aiding our restoration efforts, we might be capable of fighting back against those Federation bastards. Making them pay for Earth was a much more serious vendetta than my food fight with Juvra. Revenge against my people's murderers was a thought that brought a wicked delight to my heart. Perhaps our role in the consortium could be planning how to take the fight to those skittish prey's doorsteps as soon as we had enough strength to eliminate the threat. End of chapter. I would like to thank our T5 members and patrons, Casper Arnholtz, John Creighton, Vidmori, 050, Dragzoon W.R.E, and Elijah Silvercross. Thank you very much.